Hi, I have come again with another trading opportunity lining up for us here on the USDCAD. So I want you to join me as I take a quick look into the scenario I'm looking at for on the USDCAD. And if you have a perspective you think you want me to see, feel free to drop it in the comment section on my TradingView platform. So let's dive in and see what is happening here on the USDCAD. I've scaled up to the daily time frame, and on the daily time frame we have a bullish momentum drive. And one thing I noticed during the later part of last week trading session is that we saw our price have rejected the 1.28500 area, and this actually happened in the last 4 days. We saw multiple rejections of that level in the last couple of days. And one thing I also observed is that if we look for the left between the 27th and I think no, between the 14th of June and the 5th of July, we saw how that same area had been a demand structure for price action. Now that calls my attention into that area, as that area has been holding price action for some time now. And is there a possibility that price will continue to the upside from this area? That is one big question we want to look at on this one. And then, what of the other scenario that we could possibly see a breakdown of that demand zone that has been holding price supported for um, over a month now? Probably we could see a breakdown retest of structure that could push price to the downside. Well, that's another opportunity we want to be looking out for on this video. So without further ado, let's dive into a much lower time frame where we begin to see things more clearly. So I was able to scale down to the 4 hours time frame where I begin to see things clearly. And one thing I observed here on the 4 hours time frame is that if we observe what happened during the course of last week trading session, I think the previous week before the last, we've been seeing a very strong bearish momentum that gripped the market right from the 1.32 area and took price right through the bullish trend line, broke the bullish trend line, do a retest of the trend line, and price crashed back into the 1.284 area where we saw multiple bullish rejection of that level, hereby forming a consolidation phase around that area, insinuating the indecision that has gripped the market in the last 4 days on this pair. So going further to this observation, that is the breakdown of this bullish trend line. Here, I was able to connect a series of lower highs at this point also, and after connecting this series of lower highs, I was able to identify a bearish trend line, which was also we saw the breakout of the trend line here, which appears to look more like a false breakout, which shook people out of the market. I'm of the intention that price might be thinking of going to the downside from here. And we can see it respect that bearish trend line, price came back into this area. So there is a possibility that price could still come back into the bearish trend line to do a retest of that trend line to send price crashing to the downside from here. That is one scenario I'm looking out for. And if price crashes down, then breaks down that demand zone, then we could be looking forward to a retest of that area to add more position to this trade. Then the other scenario I'm looking out for is that we could possibly see a breakout of this of that trend line. That is, we could see a breakout of that trend line. Price breaks out, does a retest of that trend line, and goes back to do a retest of that bullish trend line that we identified on the daily time frame. After which we could see structures that will support a trend continuation to the downside. You remember, or you should know that after, from a technical perspective, once we experience a breakdown or breakout of structure which happened around here, we expect price to do a retest of that structure to send price going in the proud leading price action. And in this case, and the proud leading price action is the bearish momentum. So there is a possible price could come back to do a retest of that bullish trend line and actually send price to the downside from that area. So these are the scenarios I'm looking out for. It looks more bearish to me at this point, but the suspect here is this demand zone I've identified here, and that is making me have a little doubt of that bearish potential. So I want to see how price action is going to play out using these parameters I've identified here. That is the bullish trend line, then the bearish trend line here. I want to see how price relates with the structure. Then the third parameter I want to be looking out for is the key level, as the key level will make my job easier during during the new week. And why is that so? The key level I've identified, 1.295, was identified basically because it has been a major determinant of price action since the mid-month of June. And if we look left, we can see how this area was a supply niche here before we saw the breakout of that area. Then it became a demand niche. Then we saw a breakdown. Then it became a supply niche again. And then we saw a breakout of that structure. And also it came back to be demand niche again. We saw it a demand niche at this point. Then we saw a breakdown of that structure. So this level here, price will actually come back into this level to become a supply niche that would actually send price crashing to the downside. And if we look at this area at 1.295, it also shares a confluence with the red dotted bearish trend line I showed you earlier. So this it makes this area a little more sensitive, as there is a possibility that we could be looking out for selling momentum around that area. It could come in form of a reversal pattern like a double top structure, or probably an head and shoulder pattern, whatever that is, that will send price to the downside from here. So we never can tell what is going to be happening at this point. So this is what I just think the possibility on this one looks more bearish for me. And be rest assured that during the early hours of the new week, I will be sharing an update after monitoring how price action plays out during the early hours of the week. If this video in any way has been of major or immense help in helping you make your own individual decision during the course of the week, kindly support this video by liking it, and I'll be really glad you did. And at the same time, you also want to follow me on my TradingView platform so that you don't miss out on the regular updates I normally share in the comment section. Thank you as you do so, and do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.